welcome back to the Daily Academy at dailyfantasycafe.com. I'm your host, Josh Shepardson, also known as @BChad50 on Twitter. And the topic of today's podcast is one that's really a pressing topic for those looking to enter the daily fantasy sports world for the first time and thinking about doing some gaming. And that's the legality of daily fantasy sports. And the short answer on whether daily fantasy sports are legal is yes. Yes, they are. According to federal law in the United States, they are legal, and they are also legal in Canada. Fantasy sports, daily fantasy sports, according to federal law, are a game of skill. Therefore, they are not gambling, and that is a very important distinction. Fantasy sports were first declared legal and introduced into law in 1999. Last action took place on it in 2006, and the title of the law that allows daily fantasy sports to be legal is the Internet Gambling Prohibition and Enforcement Act. If you hop on our website and are reading through the content right now as I'm speaking, you can actually click on a link and actually read the very clear description of how and why daily fantasy sports and fantasy sports in general are legal. And again, it comes back to that important distinction: the daily fantasy sports aren't gambling, they are a game of skill. Now, because of certain state law and concerns on the part of daily fantasy sports, there are certain states that don't currently allow daily fantasy sports to be played for money. Those states are Montana, Louisiana, Washington, Iowa, and Arizona. The hope, and it appears that things are changing quickly. Many of you have probably noticed by now that major professional sports teams are actually partners with daily sites such as FanDuel and DraftKings. The hope is that these rules are going to be, all these states are going to be adopting the federal law soon. That's the expectation. So check back regularly at these websites to make sure to see how things are unfolding, because at some point the expectation is that all of these states will abide by the federal law, and the daily sports sites won't be concerned with allowing daily fantasy sports to be played for money in those states that currently don't allow it. In the meantime, you can play free daily fantasy sports there for prizes. So definitely check out those sites. Check each site to see as to whether they will allow you to play or not for cash, and check back frequently, because things seem to be moving in that direction, and the hope is that in the future that all of the states will abide by will adopt the federal law. So in the meantime, enjoy the free games, get used to the content. And for those of you in the other states, you have nothing to worry about. And the fact that it is legal means that your money is protected, easy deposits, easy cash outs, and safe and regulated gaming. So feel good about daily fantasy sports. They are legal, and for those of you who unfortunately aren't able to play for cash now, hopefully change is on the horizon. It would seem to be that way. So check back frequently with your preferred daily fantasy sports providers. And with that, that's going to do it for today's Daily Fantasy Academy podcast on the legality of daily fantasy sports. This is your host, Josh Shepardson, signing off, and check back at that Daily Fantasy Cafe to learn more about daily fantasy sports and start winning some money. Take care.